Good afternoon and welcome to this webinar organized by Ascheri Academy with the partnership of BARBRI. My name is Siobhan. I am a solicitor qualified in the United Kingdom and an Italian lawyer, and I work for the legal department of the Ascheri Group. For those who don't know us already, I would like to briefly introduce our group and the services we offer. The Ascheri Group is a group of 3 companies based in London. The Ascheri Partners, which is an accountancy firm providing international tax consultancy, the Ascheri Nelson, a law firm that offers services in the legal sector, and the Ascheri Academy, a company that offers professional training courses. As most of you will already know, BARBRI is the largest legal education company leader in the preparation of courses for law students and legal professionals, such as candidates seeking qualification as solicitors. My colleague Linda will now introduce you to this webinar and to the speakers for BARBRI School.
Thank you, Lucia, and good afternoon to everyone. My name is Linda Calisti, and I'm a trainee solicitor here in London for Ascheri Nelson. With today's webinar, we would like to introduce our collaboration with BARBRI, which is a company leader in legal education and preparation courses for students and professionals who are interested in qualifying through the SQE as solicitors in England and Wales. This is because in the last few months, we noticed an interest from our collaborators and participants to our training events in qualifying as solicitor in England and Wales. I would like now to introduce the speakers of today, Claire Flores, Head of International Business Development at BARBRI Global, and Siobhan Walker, European Business Development Manager at BARBRI Global. Today, Siobhan and Claire will explain the new SQE path to qualify as solicitors in England and Wales, and we'll also talk about the exemptions available for those lawyers who are already qualified in other jurisdictions. Before starting the presentation, I would like to remind the participants that during the webinar, they can ask any questions to the speakers by simply typing the question in the Q&A box, and at the end of the webinar, we'll then answer all the questions. I will leave it to Claire and Siobhan, and have a nice webinar to everyone.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction. As noted, my name is Claire Flores, and I am the Head of International Business Development with BARBRI. And I am a qualified lawyer in the United States and a solicitor's candidate. I'm halfway through the process of getting qualified as a solicitor. I'm joined by my colleague, Siobhan. Siobhan, do you want to say hi?
Thank you for that, Claire. Hello, everyone. As Claire mentioned, I'm Siobhan Walker, and I am the European Business Development Manager for BARBRI. I also have an academic background in law, and my role with BARBRI is to connect BARBRI to the different territories within Australia, New Zealand, and Europe. Back over to you, Claire.
Thank you so much, Siobhan. As noted, this session today is going to be discussing the solicitor's qualifying exam and the SQE exemptions. Specifically, we work with international lawyers all over the world to help them get qualified in either England and Wales as a solicitor or in the United States. Today, we're going to focus on getting qualified as a solicitor. And again, feel free to ask any questions in the chat, and the recording and the PowerPoint slides will be made available as well. And we will try our best to answer questions, allotting for the time we have left at the end of today's session. So first, we want to discuss why you might want to consider getting qualified in England and Wales in the first place. England and Wales is the second largest legal sector in the world. It's worth about 45 billion annually and is consistently growing. It's also considered a major global legal hub. London is a top international legal hub, and English law makes up about 48% of chosen law in international arbitration and cross-border transactions. This makes it the most preferred choice of law globally for international law disputes and international arbitration disputes. We're also seeing the UK and England and Wales expand the exemption process. And we believe that this is only going to strengthen the legal sector in the UK and make the choice of law even more of a preference, because the exemptions allow for a lot of internationally educated and practicing lawyers to now be able to qualify as a solicitor and offer services and advice to a larger clientele on these matters. Also, English offices are globalizing. Most Vault 100 law firms do have offices in London, and Fortune 500 companies and the big 4 accounting firms, major consulting firms, all have major London presence as well. So whether you are planning a relocation to the UK, or if you want to stay domestic where you live and practice, or work broader internationally around the globe, becoming a solicitor can really help you set yourself apart, broaden your network, and allow you to provide more breadth and depth of advice to your clients and to help you develop business for your firm across the globe. So next, we want to discuss, how do you actually qualify as a solicitor? And right now I'm going to go through the exact process of the examinations. So the Solicitor's Qualifying Exam, or SQE, is the new route to legal qualifications in England and Wales. It is a 2-stage exam assessment. The first stage is the SQE1. This is multiple choice mixed subject questions. And the next is the SQE2. This is a legal skills practical assessment with drafting, oral arguments, and a lot of writing. Many lawyers from certain countries and jurisdictions, including Italy, are exempt from SQE2. What this means is that if you've been practicing for 2 years as an Italian lawyer, you only need to complete the multiple choice portion, the SQE1, and you can do this at a Pearson VUE Center in your home country or somewhere else across the globe. You may not need to come to London. I do know we have varying participants today, lawyers and accountants. There is also a process for accountants to become qualified as a solicitor as well. You will not be exempt though. Only practicing international lawyers are considered for the exemptions. So next, let's look at an overview, kind of high level of the SQE route. First is the SQE stage 1, and that's the multiple choice test. Then is the SQE stage 2, or if you're exempt, you can bypass that. Next, you need to, if you do need to take the SQE2, you'll also need to prove that you've practiced for 2 years or have qualifying work experience. So think about it in kind of 2 frameworks. If you are a qualified lawyer in your home jurisdiction, in Italy, most likely for this specific audience, if you've practiced for 2 years in Italy, you are eligible for an exemption as long as you produce your certificate of good standing and are able to show that you've practiced for 2 years. If you have not practiced for 2 years, or you're not a qualified lawyer, you will have to do SQE1, SQE2, and then prove qualifying work experience. Qualifying work experience must be legal work. It need not be as a lawyer. You can do this as a paralegal, as a legal clerk, or as pro bono work, but it does need to be legal work in nature, and it needs to be signed off by a UK solicitor. Finally, you then go through something called character and suitability, and this is essentially a background check into your academics and into your practice and your moral fitness and character in order to practice. So it's a questionnaire where you have to provide some information, and it's a pretty straightforward and last step. And once you complete that, you are now a qualified lawyer and you are eligible to practice as a solicitor in England and Wales. So next, let's dive in a little bit more into the exam components themselves. First is the SQE1 exam. As I noted, it was mixed subject, multiple choice, and it's 2 days with 360 questions. It is completely computer-based, and you can take this at a Pearson VUE center in your home jurisdiction. And there's about 16 subjects on it, and it's all common law, and it's all English and UK law. There is one section on European Union law, so that might be familiar, but otherwise it is all based in UK common law. Common law might be a new territory and a new type of law for you to learn, so keep that in mind. And multiple choice might also be new as well, so consider that whenever you're considering taking the exam. But as Siobhan will tell you, BARBRI is well equipped to prepare you properly and make sure you're successful on your first exam. And the fee for the SQE1 exam is £1,622. So what subjects are tested? These are the, it looks like about 11 or 12 subjects. So business law and practice, this does include UK taxation, dispute resolution, contracts, torts, and torts is, intentional torts and personal liability and negligence, which might be familiar. The legal system of England and Wales, constitutional and administrative law and EU law, legal services, property practice, again, including taxation, wills and the administration of estates, solicitors accounts, which is actual financial accounting for solicitors for clients, land law, trusts, and criminal law and practice. The ethics and professional conduct subjects are weaved in throughout the exam consistently. So you might see an ethical issue raised in different parts of the exam. Ethics will not be tested as a single subject. The issues regarding ethics, like conflict of interest, etc., will pervade throughout all of the questions. So now let's talk about the SQE2 exam. The SQE2 fees are £2,493. This is available to you after you have passed the SQE1, and you can take it about 6 months after your first SQE1. The subjects covered here are client interviewing, advocacy, case analysis, legal research, writing, and drafting. And you'll be tested on these over the subjects just mentioned on SQE1. So here you will actually do practical work and create work product that is similar to a junior or trainee associate. And the SQE2 exam is what is replacing the OSCE for the QLTS scheme, or the training contract from the more traditional route and getting qualified in England and Wales. So next I'm going to turn it over to Siobhan for our exemption workshop. She's going to talk about exactly the ins and outs of on determining your exemptions and how to show your exemptions, especially for our Italian lawyers that are here in the audience. And then she's going to talk specifically about the BARBRI SQE Prep products and how they really train you to be successful on the exam for the first try. So with that, I will send it over to Siobhan.
Thank you so much for that, Claire. as Claire mentioned, over the next 20 minutes, I'm going to be discussing exemptions and also how BARBRI can help you prepare for the SQE. Before we get into that, I just want to turn your attention to the QR code on the screen. Please download, using the QR code, the exemption checklist. So I'll just give you a moment to do that before we move along.
And just to step in, the exemption checklist is a really helpful document that will take you step by step through the process. So feel free to download it so that way you can take it away and go through it as you progress through the process.
Thank you. So moving along. Okay, so exemptions. So exemptions from the SQ assessments are only available to qualified lawyers, which allows practice in an international jurisdiction. So as Claire mentioned, the SQE is divided into two parts. The SQE1 is the multiple choice test and the SQE2 is the oral assessment. So the aim of the exemption is to recognize that international lawyers who are already qualified in a jurisdiction have the skill set which is examined in SQE2. There are two different types of exemptions. So the first is agreed exemptions, and the second is individual exemptions. So the difference between the two is that the agreed exemptions is a list of countries that the SRA have handpicked and identified that those jurisdiction qualification process is very much in alignment in that of the qualification process in England and Wales. Whereas the individual exemptions is also a list of countries where the jurisdictions are identified as there being a need for the international lawyers to demonstrate 2 years work experience, either before, during, or after the qualification process. And the caveat for both of these two exemptions is that you also need to demonstrate competency in English language. Next slide, please, Claire. So here we go. Here we have the individual exemptions list. So if you remember, the individual exemption list is a list of countries that would have to also demonstrate that they have 2 years work experience in the legal professional role. And I'm happy to announce on this list, we have Italy, which is obviously wonderful stuff. So moving along. Okay, so how does one apply for an exemption? So it's about an 8-stage process. As I mentioned before, you have the checklist available to you using the QR code displayed earlier. So I'm just going to do a quick brief overview of the different steps. So step 1, create an account with the SRA or log into an existing account. So you may already have one. So the first step is to log into that or create a new one. Second step is to add your jurisdiction. Moving along to next slide. The third step is to start a new application. Step 4, download and fill out forms according to the instructions. Step 5, upload your documents. Step 6, submit and pay. Step 7, monitor the progress. And last but not least, step 8, book yourself onto a preparation course and then also book in for your exam. So all quite really straightforward stuff, but we have BARBRI representatives who are experts in this process, who can absolutely guide you through that process. So yeah. The next few minutes I'm going to be speaking about why you should choose, or why should you choose BARBRI for your preparation. course. So I think the first thing I'd like to turn your attention to is that BARBRI has over 50 years experience and has prepared over 1.3 million students and lawyers across the globe. And we are now the largest legal exam company in the world. So moving along to the next slide, we design courses not only for graduates and lawyers, but also law graduates and non-law graduates and candidates with full-time or part-time commitments. So as you can see, we've mastered our craft in such a way that we are able to cater to almost any core cohort, and we are experts at what we do. So moving on to some of the key features of our courses. So the question is for me, and I'm sure would be for yourself, so what is it about our courses that have attracted over 1 million students and lawyers? So as you can see, there's a plethora of key features listed here, but I would like to draw your attention to something that makes us incredibly unique. And that is item number, it's listed here, yes, on the right-hand side, multiple choice exam expertise. So multiple choice exam questions to become a solicitor is something England and Wales had never seen before 2021, whereas the US has always used multiple choice questions, and BARBRI have been preparing students and lawyers for these multiple choice style questions since 1967. So that's 54 years of expertise before the SQE even came into existence. We are extremely experienced in preparing lawyers for these types of exams. Next, I would also like to draw your attention to another key feature, and that's our one-to-one SQE, it's all right, Claire, our one-to-one SQE learning coaches who are all qualified lawyers in the UK, matched and allocated to you on a one-to-one basis. So what does this mean? This means that when you are engaging with your learning coach, there are no other students in that session. It's just you and your learning coach, which is crucial when digesting the course content. Lastly, a favourite key feature for me is Isaac, which is state-of-the-art AI technology, which is a piece of software which redirects your learning to areas of law you are not performing as well in. And what that means is that your study time is used efficiently, setting aside those topics you are doing well in. So a really good tool and something that BARBRI has taken on and moving really forward with in a really good way. So next slide. So what we have here is what are the different courses and when do they start? So so we've got the SQE1 and you have the option to start in either January 2024 or July. So just turning our attention first to the January course in 2024, we have a start date for April, which is a 40-week course and is expected for you to kind of put forward or commit to 10 to 12 learning hours each week. And we recommend this particular course for non-law graduates, anyone in full-time employment, foreign qualified lawyers, and the deadline to apply is June the 16th. So the course has already started. So unfortunately, that date is no longer available, but we do have other options to do the 40-week course, which I'll go over with you in a moment. Next, we have the course that starts, which we have another start date, which is August. This one is what we call our focused course, and it's a 20-week course, and asks is, or requires you to commit 20 hours a week. This is best for law graduates from UK universities or international lawyers. So fantastic match. Graduated 3+ years ago, and the deadline to apply for this is is September the 15th, and these are all within the year of 2023. So that course starts on August the 28th, so that's an exact date for you there. As Claire mentioned, you will have a copy of these slides, so no need to kind of memorize or try and write down these dates. And last but not least, for the exam, January 2024 exam, you can also have the option to start in November. This one is an accelerated course. It's only 10 weeks, but you are required to put in a little bit more hours each week, which is 35 hours a week. This is more suited for recent law graduates, graduates from a UK university, and the deadline to apply is October 27th. The course starts on October the 23rd. So those are all of the different courses that you can take if you are looking to start or looking to sit the January 2024 SQE exam. And just moving along. Thank you, Claire. So what we have here is options for those who would like to sit the July 2024 exam. So we have, again, 3 different courses. I won't go through the exact detail because we have that in hand, but I just would like to turn your attention to the dates. So if you would like to start in October, if you could just go up a little bit, I don't know if you can, Claire, but the deadline to apply for the October course is the 24th of November. That's great, thank you, Claire. The deadline to apply for the February course is also in February, and the deadline to apply for the May course is in April. Turning to the next slide. Perfect, thank you, Claire. So on your screen, what you can see right now is an overview of how well Barbary students perform in their exams. Really important information for you to be able to leave with today. So just turning your attention to the summary, or I'm just going to summarize this page. I won't go through every single detail, but just directing you to the top center of the page, out of where it says out of over 300+ students, the Barbary pass rate is 77%, which is phenomenal, especially when you compare it to the average, which is 53%. So that is absolutely incredible. So that's how our students are performing, but what do they actually have to say about Barbary? What is their experience with us? So just turning over to the next slide, I just wanted to bring to your attention some testimonies. What we have is a comment from one of our students called Severine Smith. What she wrote, or what she said was, "I was particularly impressed by the availability of the tutors and the study guides. The workbooks were straight to the point without overloading us with too much information. I very much enjoyed studying with Barbary." And then we have a second testimony from Rebecca Hales, and she commented kindly, "I've really enjoyed working with Barbary and have found the service very easy to use and helpful." Thank you, Claire. So yes, sorry, apologies, I did skip over this last slide. So in preparation for the SQE2, this will be a 20-week course, which is 10 to 15 hours of learning expected from you each week. And this is best suited for candidates who have sat and passed the SQE1 or the QLTS MCT. And it's also a an ending to those who have begun the LPC course. So LPC graduates who are exempt from the SQE1 can finish up their legal qualifications with the SQE2. So just skipping a couple of more slides, Claire. I think we've gone over the testimony. Fantastic. We are now coming to the end of today's presentation. So I would like to mention fees and enrollments. So our SQE1 preparation course is £2,999. For those ready to take this next step, before going off and applying for exemptions and enrolling onto a preparation course, I strongly recommend to book a one-to-one consultation with a BARBRI representative. So to book a one-to-one consultation with BARBRI, please scan the second QR code. It's on the screen now, and this will take you to our site where you can book in for a call. Alternatively, you can go to our website, barbri.com, and please do follow us using our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and also Twitter. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar. Please feel free to unmute to ask any questions, and also feel free to pop any questions in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Siobhan and Claire. Whilst we're waiting, we actually have already 3 questions in the box. I don't know if you can see them or you want us to read it for you.
I see, yes, let me pull up the Q&A. So first and foremost, from Stefano, he asks, I am an attorney admitted in the United States and Italy and would like to know what the required steps are in order to get admitted in the UK. Right, so the US is also in turn exempt as an individual exemption, just as Italy is. So in order to become a solicitor in England and Wales, you'll have to provide your certificate of good standing for both of these jurisdictions, but you'll go through that exact exemption process that Siobhan laid out. Take the SQE1. You can take this in the United States. You can take this in Italy. You can take this at whatever Pearson View Center is most convenient to you. Prove that you have practiced in at least one jurisdiction for 2 years. You won't need practice experience in both, just 2 years of practice experience total. And you prove that through the exemption application, through references. And once that is done, an English language competency threshold must be met for a practicing certificate. But I would strongly advise to book a one-on-one or download the exemption checklist and go through the steps directly. And it's actually a pretty straightforward process. We are told it's a 180 days in order to get your exemption process, but we're seeing it happen a lot faster, which is great news. Can you show us some sample questions of the SQE? Yes, so we can show you those. I'll have to get online and pull those up. So let me pull those up and we'll go through those. But in the interim, why don't we answer the next question? Is it required to have a TOLES certificate? I think I do need a little bit of clarification on what a TOLES certificate is. Is that the practice certificate in England?
Yeah, Claire, sorry if I interrupt you, is a test of legal English, of the legal English skills. So it's a specific test for legal English skills.
I see. So you only have to prove your English competency if you are going through the exemption route. There are a couple of ways to prove your English competency. The TOLES is one of the exams that you can prove this. You can also prove this through a couple of other options. If your degree was in the United States or in another English-speaking country, and it does not need to be a law degree specifically, if your university degree is in an English-speaking jurisdiction, you can qualify in that way. Or if it's accepted by a specific body of universities, then you will not need to take an English competency test. Let it be known you only need to prove your English competency for the practicing certificate. So you can be admitted to the role of solicitors before you prove your English competency. And again, this is only for the exempt lawyers that need to prove this. Yes, it is a required specific level. It's level 2 for the TOLES, the English level 2. Also in the packet that we send out, we'll send out, the SRA has an entire framework for the English language competency, and we'll send that onward.
Perfect. Thank you.
Claire, just a heads up regarding the question, regarding sample questions, I've just posted in a response from the SRA website a sample question for the SQE1 and a sample question for the SQE2, so that's in hand.
Fantastic. In Barbary, if you'd like to see Barbary's level of questions as well, we do have an opportunity for you to test our courses through SQE Prep Preview, and we'll send that out in our packet as well, so you can see Barbary's level of questions. As we noted, we have an incredible success rate, so you can test the platform and look at our questions comparatively. Another question was, I was admitted in England and Wales in 2013 by attending the old scheme of QLTT. Is that admission still valid in England after Brexit? Yes, it is still valid. It should be still valid. I think there might be some discussion as to whether you've done the character and suitability on a one-on-one basis, but that would be a great question to ask the SRA and clarify with them to ensure that your status still remains. But yes, you should still be considered an admitted solicitor despite Brexit.
Thank you, Claire. I don't know if you have any other question. I can see another one. Yeah.
One final question. Do these exams allow us to become an attorney who can appear in courts in the United Kingdom? Siobhan, I think that might be a great question for you. Do you want to talk about the difference between a barrister, a solicitor, and a solicitor with higher rights of audience?
Yes, absolutely. So the SQE is designed for solicitors in England and Wales. So as much as they have advocacy rights, their role is to be more of a research role in terms of the researching the law. In England and Wales, in order to qualify as a barrister, you would need to sit a different type of exam, which comes under the UK Bar Association. So a slightly different rights of advocacy, and so yes, the SQE is designed more for those who want to pursue a career as a solicitor. So yes, the short answer is yes, you can appear in courts, but your advocacy rights are lesser than that of a barrister.
Right, and becoming a barrister, you must be called to an inn. There's actually a lot, as far as the numbers go, there's a much smaller number of barristers compared to solicitors in England and Wales, and they both work hand in hand. Solicitors will often engage with a barrister in order to try cases and litigate cases. The next question is, where can you find the studying materials in case you don't take the Barbary course? There are there are several courses out there, and a lot of all of the material is testable on the Oxford University Press. So all of those subjects named on the SQE1 and on the practical exam are straight from the Oxford University Press books regarding these subjects. What I will say is it takes a bit of the guess. If you just took the Oxford University Press and read the materials, you would not get the insight that a course provider like Barbary would give you regarding the multiple choice systematic approach, regarding what's commonly testable and tested on the exam. Barbary does a really good job of studying all of the past exams, and that we have a quite a large learning team that really is thoughtful about how they put the course together. And it's all about getting you there with exactly what you need to know in order to make sure that you're able to practice full-time, work full-time, have a family while you're studying. But there are a lot of ways to study for the courses, for the exams, for sure. Next is, what about the Cambridge Proficiency Certificate? If it's an English language certificate, it could be allowed. Again, we'll send out the SRA specific framework and rules because at the end of the day, they're the final arbiter of your English language competency. So we'll defer to that. But if it's an English language proficiency certificate, I think that should be sufficient. Giovanni asks, already qualified as a solicitor, but felt a bit rusty on the main subjects. Is there any course for me to revise the subjects the way they are now without sitting? Yes, absolutely. Barbary's actually just launched something called SQE Foundations, and it's a light level of revision over all of the courses, and it's at a much smaller price point, and it gives you kind of an overview of all of the subjects. We'll include that in the packet as well, but if you look up Barbary SQE Foundations, you'll be able to see a short form 4-week course that is just an overview of the subjects. That would be a really good revision tool, I think, for you to revise the subjects and brush up on the subjects. And I think those are all. Oh, we have one more question.
I think we have a last one from Gabriele Cornelio Claire.
Yes, great. I am an Italian qualified lawyer with many years of proven experience, but in order to get the exemption, do I have to be also currently a member of the Italian bar? You do need to have a certificate practice of good standing. So you do need to be in a current state of practice, meaning that you have not gone inactive, that you are still able to practice. It depends on what the Italian bar requires, and if you must be a member of the Italian bar in order to have that practice certificate. But yes, you do have to be an active member with a certificate of good standing to show that your current license is current. And then finally, can an Indian qualified lawyer be eligible for SQE? Yes, India also has certain regions that are on the exemption list, and if your state is not on the exemption list, you are still eligible to sit for the SQE. You just have to take the SQE2. But absolutely, lawyers in India are required and are eligible to take the SQE as long as you have that university degree. And finally, how much experience is required? It's again that 2-year practical experience required for the individual exemptions. And that's all, I think. Lots of fantastic questions.
Thank you so much, Claire, for answering all the questions. I don't know if you and Siobhan wants to add something else to your presentation, or is there something that you want to say?
Sure. I mean, just to close out, thank you again so much for everyone's time. Again, if you have a lot of individualized questions, especially about your exemption status, I would really strongly suggest you book a consultation with our team members. We will walk you through the process of exemptions, whether or not you purchase a BARBRI course, but we'll also show you the BARBRI course as well, as it is incredibly effective. But definitely book a consultation with us. We'll help you with all of the really localized questions that you might have with the English language competency requirement, with the practice certificate. We're able to help really troubleshoot on a more individualized basis whenever you book a meeting with us. Other than that, we will be happy to send out more information regarding this, including the exemption checklist, and more resources for you all to research and learn about this incredible opportunity.
Thank you so much, Claire. Thank you, Siobhan. I just wanted to add to our participants that you can find after the end of this event, they can find all the slides on our website, Ascheri.Academy, so they can find everything, all the material, the slides of today there. And then if they have additional questions or they simply want to subscribe to the courses, they can send also an email to info@ascheri.academy, and we will just forward everything to Claire and Siobhan, so they can proceed this way. I want to thank you again, Claire and Siobhan, for your time today and for explaining all this amazing opportunity in joining BARBRI courses. And I want to thank you all the participants of the webinar today for the interest shown, and we hope to receive inquiries for you and obviously being contacted for our courses. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, Claire. Bye, Siobhan.